I'm Alan Colmes. Ann, what's it? Coulter. Yes, Ann Coulter. She has a book out called In Trump We Trust. Last time you were telling me about this great book. You're devoting yourself to Trump. You're not even dating now because you're so all into having... There's no boyfriend, right? It's all about Trump for you.
None of your beeswax.
Because last time you said, I can't even date now. I'm just totally involved in getting Donald Trump to be next president of the United States. I can't even have a personal life.
That's
what you said to me.
I was blowing off your question.
That's what you probably said. All right, Ann Coulter's with us.
I'm waiting for Barron. Trump.
Yeah, Barron. You'll be the Mrs. Barron Trump. Ann Coulter's a little bit of an age difference there. Ann Coulter's new book is In Trump We Trust. Okay, look. Donald Trump says to Sean Hannity, he says one day he says there's going to be a softening on immigration.
There
right?
certainly can be a softening because we're not looking to hurt people.
Then the next day he talks to Anderson Cooper, and he says this.
I don't think it's a softening. I think it's...
But 11 million people are no longer going to be deported.
I've had people say it's a hardening, actually.
So what is he doing? I mean,
He means,
really, come on.
Well, for one thing, your co-host...
Ex-husband, is that what you were going to say?
No, I was going to say ex-host,
right,
but it's ex-co-host.
Okay, right.
Sean Hannity pushed him into that. When I was presented with the quote right as I was launching my book last week on Hardball, and I made the joke on air, if this is true, he's softening on immigration, this could be the shortest book tour ever.
Yeah, right,
I'm out. Okay, that was a joke, and everyone picks up on it and
Oh,
starts
he's
saying,
screwing up her book launch. Look what Trump is doing to Ann Coulter.
Which reminds me, as a former stand-up comic, I used to maintain the lowest form of humor is a pun. I forgot there was one form lower, stealing someone else's joke and immediately repeating it.
That's true. That is a very low form.
As if you just thought of it. Whoa, this ruined Ann Coulter's book tour. Anyway, when I actually watched the interview, for one thing, Trump invites, all these, I shouldn't be laughing, it's sad, but it shows you that this was not the thrust of what he was saying. The Remembrance Project moms, the mothers whose children have been horribly killed by illegal aliens, that you wouldn't have even heard of these women. And I've been to a lot of Trump rallies. I introduce him. I give speeches before he goes on. You would not have seen these women. He does a lot of stuff with them and men as well. That is all because of Trump. So then it was Hannity who he must have been having like an LSD flashback to when he was pushing.
I don't believe he did LSD.
I know, that's a joke.
He probably thinks I did, however, but that's not true either.
When he was pushing Marco Rubio and the Gang of Eight amnesty bill, and he starts going through those talking points again, and he's pushing. And then Trump basically repeats exactly the words Hannity said, and what I think is true, and I don't think it needs to be said. Americans are compassionate, good people. We aren't going to be unkind to illegal aliens, but that doesn't mean we're abandoning.
He was talking about a deportation force. We're going to get all 11 million people out of the country.
Yeah, I think he could soften his rhetoric on that. We don't need a deportation force. It's ICE. It's called the immigration.
But he wasn't talking about ICE. He was saying, we're going to get a deportation force. We're going to get rid of the 9 million or whatever the number is.
9 million,
right,
40
let's
million.
Go down the
he
list.
Never exceeds to that fake number.
On Hannity's show, pardon me, I choke up when I say that. In August, he said there's certainly going to be a softening. In August, he said, this is in August of 2016.
Yeah.
And then he says, look, I've seen some people, this is a hardening, Anderson Cooper. He said on CNN in last November, you're going to have a deportation force. Mm-hmm. In February, he said at the Republican debate, we're going to have at least 11 million people that come in illegally. They will go out. In May, on NBC Nightly News, they're going to be deported. Either we have a country or we don't. Then in August of this year, we're going to keep the families together. They have to go. He's all over the place.
Oh, my gosh. I described this nitpicking from the media.
Not nitpicking.
In my book, it's totally nitpicking. Look, we know the direction he's going in. We know he wants to enforce the law.
Is he going to deport people
Anna's still
who are
talking,
here?
Alan.
Oh, I forgot.
Anna's still talking. We know he's going to let ICE do their job, build a wall. But we also know that Americans are compassionate people. It's not going to be done in an aggressive and nasty way. And it's exactly the same thing with the Muslim ban. At that time, and I totally covered this in the book so that I could make fun of people on your network, you have all these nuts responding to his statement of the Muslim ban including one on your network. What about King Abdullah?
Hey, look, I only work here, okay? I just leave
what
me out of
about
it.
King Abdullah of Saudi Arabia? Is he going to exclude him? No, I understood, and 70% of Republican primary voters and a majority of Americans understand, yes, there will be a Muslim ban, but there will be exceptions.
All right, but
but
then-
how will you enforce the Muslim ban? Well, we'll go to the countries. We understand the point, and
No,
you
but
guys
it's
come
not
up with
the
like
point.
17
Words have,
steps.
and if Alan could talk now, because we talk about ourselves apparently in the third person, words have meanings. One minute you say, okay, Muslim ban. No, I'm just talking about territory in the next minute. 1 minute I'm going to deport all 11 million undocumented immigrants because they're not illegal, they're undocumented. Next minute,
No,
no.
undocumented is
Now-
leaving your driver's
No,
license
now
at home.
he says,
They
but-
are illegal.
They're undocumented. A person can't be illegal. But now he says, well, I'm just going to deport the criminals who are. So which is it? Is he going to get rid of
There are
all the undocumented or just the criminal ones?
Of course a person can be illegal. If a person is here illegally,
Right.
they are illegal.
The person's not illegal. The act could be. However, the person itself or herself is not illegal.
This is
the
the
act is illegal.
stupidest thing.
No, words have meaning. So
You know,
is
a
he,
person cannot be a rapist. It's the rape.
No,
a
no,
person
no,
who
no.
commits rape.
No, a person is not illegal simply for performing an illegal act. The person
Bush
does
did not have
the person doesn't
An
become
illegal war in Iraq.
No.
There was a war that was undertaken
A person-
illegally. Oh my gosh!
If you commit,
liberals
if you
with your
commit,
words.
I am you liberals. If you commit an illegal act, are you illegal?
If you
If
add,
you commit an illegal act,
if
are
you-
you an illegal? If you commit an illegal act?
well, illegal is short for illegal alien. So yes, you are an alien in this country. Alien means you are not a citizen, so you can be a legal
That
alien
means you're not
or you can be
documented.
an
Well, look,
illegal
we can
alien.
go down this.
No,
We're going into a
documented-
black hole here.
Documented
Look.
is I left my driver's license at home. I'm
Right.
sorry, officer.
But you've avoided the issue of first he says all of them get deported. Now he says just the criminals get deported.
Yes, and he said
which
Muslim
is it?
ban.
But which is it? Is
No.
it all of them or is it just the criminals?
They are all, the answer is they are all here illegally. None of them has a constitutional right to stay. Most will eventually be deported.
How?
Many will go home on their own. So no, there
Or
will
they'll self-deport like Mitt Romney said?
like millions, not actually we didn't have millions then, but like 10 out of every illegal who was deported under Operation Wetback,
A
it was
terrible
called.
name, obviously.
Well, that was what it was called at the time. Under Dwight Eisenhower, nice guy, everybody loves, I like Ike. Dwight Eisenhower put it into effect. Now, he had to have a deportation force, particularly because we didn't have
The same
border
thing Trump
agents.
is
It wasn't a
talking
big
about.
problem. Well, okay, but we have it. It's called ICE.
Well,
He's
why didn't
going
he
to
say that? Did
enlist
he not
them.
know we had ICE when he said, I'm going to have a deportation
No,
force?
but I suppose the idea is that there will be units within the ICE. Not only will he take the harness off them, the handcuffs that Obama's put. I mean,
but,
for Pete's sake, right now, Obama is refusing to deport, is fighting.
No, he's not. He's deporting. Trump himself has
that
said
was
Obama
not,
has-
You didn't hear the rest of that sentence. He is fighting the deportation of people who are not just illegal aliens, but are illegal aliens who have committed murder, who have committed rape. Yes, they are, because they go out and they kill again. Look up Sarah Root.
I know,
that was a month
those
ago.
certain people get mentioned over and over again.
No, because it happened a month
Trump
ago.
himself said Obama has deported more people. He has deported more people than other presidents. You have more people leaving the
That
country
was
now
a
than
misstatement
coming
that I
in.
may have to engage in some
I
aggressive
see.
tweeting on,
I see.
because
Okay.
he has not deported more people. What they did is they changed the definition of deportation to illegal immigrants turned away at the border. Nobody calls that deporting,
He is
saying,
both-
sorry,
he
you
is
can't
both-
get in.
he is both
so
a-
they changed the definition to get the numbers up.
He has both turned away more people than the previous president and gotten out of the country
That's
more people
absolutely
than the previous
false.
president.
That's absolutely false.
And more people are
That's
now
absolutely
leaving the
false.
United
I'll
States.
make a $100 bet.
I don't bet. That's like another host. More people are leaving
That's
the country
absolutely false.
now
The only
than are
way they got
coming
the
in.
numbers up was by suddenly counting. It would be like suddenly you changed, okay, a passing grade, instead of being a 70, is now a 40. Look, everybody passed.
Our guess
That's
is
what he did. He
Ann
changed the definition of deportation. Every
Coulter.
illegal alien turned away at the border.
In Trump We Trust is the book. I'm still not getting an answer to, is he going to deport just criminal undocumented or
No, of
all the
course.
undocumented?
No
Which
one
is it?
here, even the most law-abiding illegal immigrant, other than having broken the law to
Right.
come into the country, broken the
gonna
law to
stay.
stay here, broken the law to have a
They're
job.
going to stay.
There are 40 to 60 million. We don't even know how many
Are
there
they
are.
all going to stay?
No, they will not.
How are they going to get out? How are we going to find out who they are? What is the process to do this?
This is the craziest thing. What is Hillary's position at all?
No. So you want to change the subject to Hillary Clinton?
No, this crazy nitpicking.
It's not nitpicking.
It's
if you have a
nitpicking.
policy, how do you do it? What's the process? How do you go about
You let
how do you get
ICE
the outcome
do their
you want?
job. You will remember Arizona is trying to let their police and state troopers do the job. They're going to be allowed to do it.
If you get rid of 11 million people here who don't have documentation,
Not
you're
11
gonna,
million, 40,
whatever
50,
the number
60,
is,
we don't even know.
Whatever the number is.
But it's an absolute minimum
whatever
is 30
it is,
million.
whatever the number is. You're going to separate families. You're going to
No,
you're
you're
going to
not.
get rid
They're
of
going to
kids.
join their
What
families
about
back in Chiapas.
birthright citizenship. So if
It's
you're
not birthright
if
citizenship.
You're born
You're
here,
using the wrong
if
word.
You're born,
Absolutely false.
If you're,
That is
if you're
birthright
can I get
citizenship.
Alan's talking. Can I get
Okay.
a question now?
And-
if you're born, if you don't mind, well, every once in a while I like to speak.
No,
if
I'm not
you-
sure if we're going to permit
If
that
you
tonight.
are born here, let's say your parents are here without documentation.
Illegally.
Well, parents are here illegally, although they're not individually illegal people. But you have your kids. You're born here. You've lived here for 10, 15, 20 years, although your parents are not here legally. Did they leave the country too?
Okay.
They must leave the country too?
If you're not going to use proper words for things, it becomes very difficult to describe a subject, and you're worried about exactly how. Now, does the ICE officer approach the illegal?
If your parents are here illegally, yet you've lived here your entire life,
at least I know what you're talking about.
and were born here, are you going to be deported as well?
I just to get the term straight, because people should understand that birthright citizenship is if you are a legal alien and have a child here, that child is an American citizen. That has been true since 1892. Anchor baby is something completely different. That is you're born to illegal aliens, so that are
An anchor baby is considered a pejorative term as well.
Yes, because boating. It's a boating metaphor, and everybody knows boating is so offensive.
You know
it's
how
not
words,
sexual. It's not racial.
Words change.
It means what it is describing is the fact that American citizenship has become a game of tag with Border Patrol, where an illegal alien can run across the border, drop a baby, and say, "Ha ha, you can't deport me." It's insane. It was slipped into. It is not part of the Constitution.
If you are born here, if I could just get a question
Supreme
out.
Court opinion in 1982. That's how long anchor babies go back.
If you are born here, and you are what you call, but not me, an anchor baby.
An anchor baby.
And your parents are not here legally, right?
We need to overturn
But you
the
were
anchor
born
babies.
here. Do you get to stay in the country if you've been here 15, 20 years? You've gone to college. You've gone to high school. You've had your whole life in the United States.
Why is it that
Do you
only
get
in the
to
case
stay?
of immigration, we know there are at least 30 million. There could be as many as 60 million here, described more fully in my last book, Adios America, if you want the details on that, or
Can
I'll
I get
be
an
happy
answer?
to
Do you
explain.
get to stay if you're in that category?
No, but I am rejecting this obsessive focus. In no other description
my
of...
question?
I am answering your question. I have a point to make, too. In the description of no other law, we have to pass financial legislation. We have to pass, a speeding law. But we can't pass a speeding law, even though people are dying all over 95 and they're going 180 miles per hour. No, what we must do is arrange the entire solar system around the one guy who's rushing his wife to the hospital because she's about to give birth. Let's fixate on that one teeny tiny case. This is what people are so happy about Trump for. Finally, could we talk about the big problem and not always be talking about the hard cases?
No, because he said they're all going to be deported.
There's a reason for the cliche, hard cases make bad law. Can we stop talking about
He said they're all going to be deported.
Yes, they are.
Including people who've lived here their entire lives whose parents were not born here. Who were born here. People who were born here whose parents were here
and
illegally.
who cost, as I describe in my current book, In Trump We Trust, the most loving, law-abiding, hard-working, good-looking, tall, illegal alien, everything I want, with one child, costs America $12,000 a year just to educate that child. And I'm assuming we need no English as a second language classes. I am assuming there are no free school lunches.
I've got to take a break. But
I am assuming they don't use parks or emergency rooms. Americans are generous people, but every illegal alien costs Americans a lot of money.
I'm saying, will the children of what you would call illegal aliens be also deported?
Well,
Should
they don't
be
have a
deported?
right to be here. Are
Even
you
if
claiming they have a constitutional right
if
to
they
be
were
here?
born here, yes.
Well, I think the Congress should pass a law, as does
I see. So
Richard
you want to change
Posner,
it.
the most cited federal judge, well
Right.
acknowledged intellectual,
Reagan
Richard
appointee?
Posner, on the Seventh Circuit. He's not one of my people. He's Mr. Pro-abortion, pro-gay marriage, so on and so forth. But he's has been begging Congress to pass a law for years to end the nonsense of anchor babies.
We have to pay for your
As
car
did your
fare.
friend.
We have to pay for your car fare now.
It's a very expensive car. I'm going.
Back in a moment.
I'm going to Phoenix.
With Ann Coulter. Her book is in Trump We Trust. Back in a moment. I'm Alan Colmes. Ann Coulter, our guest in Trump We Trust, her book. Now, in this book, In Trump We Trust, by Ann Coulter, you talked about the mocking of a New York Times reporter.
Yes,
right?
I did.
And you said he wasn't mocking the reporter's disability. He was imitating a, quote, standard retard.
Right. Did you just see my interview on Bloomberg with that nut John Heilemann?
No.
Oh, good grief.
All right, but okay. What?
Would you people stop being such little precious
Wait a minute.
snowflakes?
He was imitating a standard retard?
Yeah.
Do you know that retard is a very insulting word to you?
Okay,
I mean, really?
You know, just for purposes of argument,
please
I'm going to concede that I am a complete monster. Now let's get back to Trump.
But what does
has
that mean?
nothing
What
to
does that
do-
mean? He's imitating a standard. Why would he even do that? Why would someone running for president?
That's not his
imitate
description of it. That's my description of it.
A standard retard.
That's how. Okay, I'm glad you brought this up. It happens to be what my column is about tonight. We now know that this whole story is a complete fabric. It's a lie. It's a deliberate, knowing lie by the media, and the proof of
What's
it
the lie?
is that Trump was mocking a disabled person. The proof of it is in that exact same speech, Trump starts making fun of a general for saying, oh, it's so hard to go after ISIS. He does the exact same moves. In another speech, he makes fun of Ted Cruz, does the exact same moves. Okay, Donald Trump is not going to be invited to be a sketch actor on Saturday Night Live because he does the exact same move. The press was there. They knew it. They have been hiding that clip. And not only that, in an article in the Washington Post promoting this lie, someone posted a very respectful comment that wasn't, outrageous, harassment or racism or something. Respectful comment that linked to the video of the general that Trump was imitating in the exact
the same way he was imitating the reporter from the New York Times.
Exact same way, which is linked in my column this week. And the Washington Post instantly took that post down. That is consciousness of guilt. This is the most outrageous attack on any public figure I've ever seen what they are doing to Trump. And the disabled reporter business is not only a lie, it is a deliberate lie. It is a knowing lie. It is a lie that the media is protecting from the public hearing the truth. And I would also add, why don't they ever interview the reporter? This is not as strong a point as my earlier 2 points. The reporter does not jerk.
Okay.
In fact, his disability is exactly the opposite.
Would you agree then it's also a lie to go after Hillary Clinton and claim that when she was nodding her head that she was having an epileptic fit?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Everybody knows. Of course,
knows.
you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, really? Did Trump bring it up in his
No,
convention speech?
I'm talking
because
about the media.
Still talking.
I'm talking about the
because
conservative
the press
media.
did, because Hillary Clinton did talk about Donald Trump mocking a disabled man. That is a lie. It's a deliberate lie, and the videos on my story today, my column, prove it. Look at those videos and tell me he was mocking a disabled man. This is how Trump does flustered person.
Well, he's just lost his gig on Saturday Night Live.
Yes, he has.
We'll take a quick break. Ann Coulter's book, and I don't know why it's called this, but in Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Trump or something like that.
E Pluribus Awesome.
E Pluribus Awesome, excuse me. How dare I get it wrong. Back in a moment, and then we'll get some calls in the few moments we have left with Ann Coulter in just a moment. We only have a few minutes left with Ann Coulter. I almost said Ann Trump. I bet you wish. Because
Barron is going to be my husband.
Mrs. Barron Trump. That's a little bit not going to work. Folks, May to December, talk about that. All right, but the thing is that you got to leave in a few minutes to get home in time to see Trump.
Yes.
So I got to let you go in a moment. So I want to take some calls, but before we do, what the appendix, right?
I wanted to tell you about, this is worth the price of the book, the appendix. It's titled Geniuses, and it's just quote after quote from 6 months of the media savants and political experts telling us that Trump would never be the nominee.
I'm one of them. But I'm not a savant. I'm the idiot part without the savant. Now, you also...
If you weren't... You didn't make the appendix, though. I only had one day to go on Nexus.
That's quite
all
right. I don't want to be in your books,
but
believe me.
Part of it wasn't just getting it wrong. It was the arrogance, the absolute assurance.
I'm there. I'm one of those people. I had no way he was going to make it. And he'll never be president, by the way. We know that to be true.
This is why you need the Geniuses appendix, listener, because when you hear people like Alan say this now, you can go back and see, wait, these were the same
You're
people who
convinced
told
he'll be reelected, right? So I'll play
Not convinced, but I think it's more likely than not.
Oh, no, it's not. All
I
right,
said
so
90% likely he'd be the
very
nominee,
quickly, because I really want to
president.
honor our calls.
Yes.
I want to talk to you. The birther thing.
Yeah. What I wanted to say about that was I didn't have my Trump app yet when he did the birther thing, and I thought it was insane. But now that I've watched him, and I do write about this in the book, how these things often that I think, wish he hadn't have done that. And then you wait a few days. Now I've just started telling my friends, they've all learned by now, wait and see how this plays out. What was so fantastic about the birther thing was that no one, it was all conservative publications that had shot it down. You never heard it talked about on Fox News. I like to hate watch, so I would obsessively watch MSNBC. Every single show, every single night. They would find some nut birther someplace to put on.
He's
every
a nut
congressman.
birther.
No. By making, Obama was purposely, which I didn't need, you didn't need. Obama was purposely not releasing the long form to keep the nuts ginned up. Obama forced him to release it, and that was the end of the issue. Thank you, Donald
But Trump won't admit it. Trump still said, I don't believe that's his real birth. He's released it.
No, he says.
And Trump has been asked about it and says,
he
I don't want to talk about
things about, I don't know. But I see what he was doing.
Why won't
now.
Trump finally admit?
You know what the best example of it was?
Could I please get out a question?
Well, I don't know why you won't. You're just
Why
going to
can't
harangue
Trump
me.
finally admit?
But I have another great
no.
example of
I'll
it.
harangue you. But
Because all he does is make
why
sly
won't
remarks.
Trump finally
well,
admit?
If that's the real
But
birth
why won't he admit? Okay, finally.
Ask him, Lamb Chop. The other great
Because
example of
Lamb
what
Chop,
he did.
won't come on this show at this point. That's why.
I wanted to shoot my TV at the South Carolina debate when he.
All right, let me get a call in.
Okay, fine. I wanted to give you another example of something that seemed like a boneheaded move, and
Okay,
then you wait a few days.
I know you got to
no,
go.
No, it's too long.
It's only because you've got to go to see your.
I agree. Let's hear the call.
Because you got to go see your father.
Okay, let me just tell everyone you have to get the book because I have lots of great examples of things that you thought were
disadvantages. Because you have to go and see your future father-in-law when you're missing on TV. David in Huntington, New York. Hello.
Hey, good evening, Alan and Miss Coulter. You know, I read your book, Adios America, from cover to cover, so I'm very familiar with the material. And the last two nights, Alan has had on members of the
We had Jared Taylor on and then Peter Brimelow last night.
Is Peter alt-right?
Yes.
Yeah, you don't believe.
Yes.
But wait. Let me finish, please.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. You basically have written the Bible for the white nationalist movement. Are you a member of the alt-right or a white nationalist? And are you willing to admit it and not be a coward like the last two guests Alan had on?
No, I am not a white supremacist. And you, young
if you're a
man.
white supremacist. Are you a white nationalist? Because you keep saying that this country is being taken over by inferior brown people.
I've never said any such thing.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You said in the
Okay, you know what? It wasn't worth taking a call if I'm just going to be slandered and lied about.
Why is it? People have said you are part of the white nationalist alt-right movement. Do you not consider yourself?
I'd never
part of that
heard
movement?
of alt-right
Thank you,
until
David.
2 months ago. Had you even heard of this? Milo wrote about it for Breitbart, and
Right.
no, I don't think Peter Brimelow is part of it either. He's Mr. Immigration. He wrote Alien
You
Nation
would like to
20
preserve
years
this
ago.
as a white majority country, correct?
That isn't the point. I suppose that would be the end result. The same way I think Europe is making a mistake dumping all these Muslims on the country. I would like to preserve America as America and what America has been for 400 years. Now that you mention it, but that isn't the objective. I mean, it's kind of a sneaky way for you to phrase it. I mean, I'd like to preserve it as 50% men and women, but that isn't what isn't my big thing. You know what we need?
No, but you would like the culture of America to be. You'd like us to be majority white, a mostly European influence.
Look, I wouldn't put it that way. What I would say is I, like immigrants, like America, and it is being changed without checking with the American people. Now, if you look at what America is, of course we can assimilate people. I am 100% sure, unlike this screeching lunatic from Huntington, I know, have dated, have been at the homes of, have gone to the weddings of, far more immigrants than the two of you combined. The idea that I hold something. Have you ever been to a Sikh wedding? No, I bet you haven't. Have you ever had a Sikh stay at your house? Have you had a Christmas dinner with a Muslim? No, you have not.
You don't know what I've done.
Yes, I do.
Look, I know you got to go. Let me just.
This idea that this is an animosity toward any other group, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with preserving the historic American nation to which we can assimilate people, but not in the numbers we're bringing
I'm trying
them
to
in.
get you out of here in time. Dre in Seattle, hello.
Okay, Ann. Hey, Hey, Alan, and it's a pleasure to speak with you. Alan I was a Bernie guy, and Alan had convinced me to go with Hillary because of the Supreme Court nominees. And as a black guy, and black people in general, we have a problem with Hillary. I have two questions. One, what would you say to an African American man why he shouldn't vote for Hillary Clinton? And then number two, if you're single, Ann, I bet you one night with me, you'll turn to the left.
Oh, God.
I wish I had 45 minutes for you right now. For one thing,
That's for the first question, not the second.
Or both, perhaps.
All right, I'm going to let you go so you can answer the question, and we can let Ann go. Go ahead.
Okay, no, Bernie supporters have got to move to Trump. Look, the big issue with Bernie was the Trans-Pacific Partnership. I used to actually like a lot of things about Bernie. Unfortunately, he had to sell out too many points to run as a Democrat on things like immigration. He used to say we've got to stop dumping all these low-wage workers on America. It's hurting the American working class. I agree with that. He's Mr. Anti-Trans-Pacific Partnership, which will, in case you don't know, take any jobs that haven't already been shipped to Mexico and ship them to Asia. I think we need to care about Americans and America's working class. It is Trump that has taken up those issues.
Why should black people not vote for Hillary?
Specifically to African Americans. I mean, that goes for African Americans. It goes for, goes for all Americans, for white Americans, certainly working class Americans and middle class Americans. Specifically for black Americans, I mean, Alan and I were just talking about this off camera, at least part of it. Look, Trump has had a fantastic relationship with black people his entire career. He employs lots of black people. He lets blacks, Jews, Asians join his clubs in towns where that is not heard of. 10 years ago, Donald Trump was asked on the Howard Stern show, and Howard Stern is always trying to maneuver people into saying embarrassing things. He was Stern is pushing Trump. Oh, would you let Ivanka date a black man? And Trump said, yeah, of course. So all this time, all these black athletes have endorsed him. Black celebrities, blacks who know him, black pastors. Suddenly he runs for president as a Republican. And he's a member of the Klan. They just discovered it.
Well,
Oh,
the
good
Klan does
grief.
like
Can
David
you
Duke likes him.
please stop this?
All right. And
Please.
look,
We only know David Duke is alive every 4 years. You have to ask the Republican
Okay.
candidate for president.
Look, I can't keep you here so you don't get to see your future father-in-law. So
I
thank you.
hope you're going to let your listeners listen to his speech. And if you
Well, I'm
don't,
off at the top of the hour. I'm gone. So.
get the book. In
All right.
Trump We
In
Trust.
Trump We Trust.
Pluribus
Thank you
awesome.
for being here.
Thank you.
Very much. Back in a moment at 877 for Alan.